All right, everyone, welcome to episode 10 of Learning Outside the Lines with Kyle and Glenn, or Glenn and Kyle. It doesn't matter. We're really excited about our opportunity today to chat and catch up and continue this crazy world that we're in right now.
Yeah, we've got an amazing guest for us today. His name is Nathan Lawrence, and he's one of my personal heroes. Maybe man crush, if you will. I just love everything that he's been putting out in the education world for years now, and he's going to be on our show, so that's really exciting. What's your anecdote for the day, Kyle?
So my anecdote has to do with my connection with what I do with GCTE. So GCTE is the Georgia version of the National Councils of Teachers of English. So that's Georgia Council of Teachers of English. And so they have a Scribbles and Bits that they send out to this quarterly newsletter that they send out to members. And for the last several quarters, I've been contributing by asking other authors and English teachers around the state to contribute to it. And it's called The Case Of, and it's meant to kind of show a moment in time that changed somebody's teaching habits, practices. Sometimes it's a relational piece. Sometimes it's about an actual instructional piece or something that a lesson that kind of got designed over time and how that changed. A lot of them end up being relational, though, just because the nature of our profession is very relational, right? So the latest one that'll be coming out, I'm actually about to submit the document here in the next couple of days. A good mutual friend of ours, Susie Wheatman, who's at Decatur City Schools, which we just talked to an AP there in a recent episode as well. So she contributed or was willing to, and I contacted her before the COVID-19 outbreak, right? And so her piece evolved significantly from when she started to what she actually turned into me, which made complete sense because it was really about the here and now and what it is shaping her as a teacher to be.
Yeah.
So I want to take a second and actually share my screen real quick. So this is like a preview of part of what she wrote. We're not going to look at the whole thing, but I love that she really silos out these three things that have become her quarantine mantras when it comes to her classroom, now that she doesn't have the physical space. So she talks about time as a construct, looking at the kids at home that I would like to have extended to me, right? How powerful is that? And then two, just being thoughtful. I am fortunate enough to be sheltering in place with the resources and support that I need and recognizing that, but also understanding and responding that she's got lots of students that her school serves and that she serves that are not going to have some of the supports that she does. And then finally, and Glenn, honestly, this speaks a little bit to before we went live and hit record with this that you were speaking to, like, let it go. Like, I can't be the only one who has watched her share of Frozen during this crisis, so I'm taking the song to heart. Did I get the number of grades that I wanted before the shift to digital learning? No, let it go. Did I recover every unit I had planned? No, let it go. Did I get my research paper unit finished? No, let it go, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's the grace that we've got to extend to ourselves as educators, even in my role as a support. I'm not in the classroom, and I had all kinds of plans and things I was going to get done in the next month that are not going to get done the way I thought they were going to, right?
No, for sure.
Anyway, that piece will be out in the quarterly here soon. I just wanted to share that. I thought her insights were pretty cool. So
Definitely.
How about you, Glenn? What's that?
Really, really cool. So just personally, I've been really struggling with finding the time and place to run lately, which is funny because it's really just all in my head. I've got nothing but time and space to run. But like, I just have not been putting in the work that I need to put in order to feel like I'm doing what I should be doing. And I just kind of made a promise to myself that I'm just going to go out and do something every day. Just go outside. Maybe some days I walk, maybe some days I jog, maybe some days I run, but I just go outside and I move my body. And I just have to find a place of satisfaction, kind of with whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. I think that fits right along with what I was trying to share from Susie and the way we're trying to reflect right now and take care of ourselves.
No, there's definitely some connection there. But that's really cool. So I think let it go might be our new mantra.
All All right, so as we always do after our anecdotes, we'd like to get right into something we can share with you that is useful maybe to your online teaching practice or remote teaching practice. So Glenn, what is our digital teaching hack of the day?
Digital teaching hack of the day is a program that I actually used last night when I was doing some planning for mythology. This is called Actively Learn, which has been around for a really long time. So some of you guys out there might be familiar with it, but right now it's free. It's free for the rest of the year. So this is normally a paid platform that schools have to buy into. And maybe I was a little bit myself, I don't want to say jaded to it, but I was like, we've already got Common Lit. We've already got all these other platforms out there. What's one more? Actively Learn does some amazing things that Common Lit does not do. For instance, you can upload your own texts to the platform instead of it just being something that's already built in. Now, there is some work involved in that, which means you have to also generate the questions that you ask with the text that you upload. But Actively Learn walks you through that process and actually helps you craft standards-based questions with your text that you upload. So for instance, I can select the standard. I can also select the DOK level, and then I can even click a button and it will give me some question stems that I can use and then add on the back end of the question.
So question for you then, right?
Yeah.
So is this like a mostly a core tool, or could like elective teachers find themselves using like? And I know mythology is an elective.
Oh yeah.
But it is a English elective, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Very text heavy. So if we're talking about like an engineering teacher who has
Let's see, you froze. We're just having all kinds of recording issues today. The internet's slow. When you come back. Okay, you're back.
There we go.
You left out about engineering questions.
Yeah. I mean, can you do the same thing for like an engineering class?
Yes. So I think what you would need to do is kind of think about what realm you're trying to ask questions from. So for instance, if you wanted to align this to some science standards, you could definitely do that through different sciences. I believe that actually is available. I think I might be wrong, but I know that I really honestly need to look a little bit more into that platform. But you can also upload videos to annotate. And one of my favorite things about it is you can have students respond with images, not just text. So one of the fun things I might do is have students select memes and then respond back to my questions with memes. So, you know, there's a lot of thinking that can go on with the difficult text, that it doesn't always have to be the hardest question possible. You can just get them to kind of wrap their mind around the text and respond to it in the way that they would like to. I think that that's something that we lose sometimes. But yeah, there's that avenue. There's the fact that you can do it with videos. You can upload PDFs. You can have it attack a website and it pulls the website in, and then you annotate it. You can add in your own notes in your own videos. So it does a lot of things especially for remote learning that, you know, Common Lit, which is a fantastic tool. It's just a little bit more in depth, I think.
Is it pretty easy to embed in like other platforms? So we talk a lot about how we use eClass, which is really D2L that we use, for those who are familiar with that term means. So like, are you just embedding links? Does it like actually embed as a visual inside of your platform?
There is some embedding potential. I know it embeds really easily into Google Classroom. But what I liked about what I did personally for eClass was, and sometimes you have to have a class code and you have to have all this different stuff to sign up, and that's really annoying. I was able to get one link for my students, and they click on that one link and it puts them in the class and puts the assignment in front of them. And that kind of like usability right now is so important as we're trying to, you know, teach kids how to do all this different stuff.
Right. So. Okay. Well, so let's get into part two of what we really do with this whole thing, which is what's the good word. So, what's the good word is our opportunity to bring guests on and have conversations from all kinds of different perspectives about what's going on in education right now during the pandemic with remote learning. So Glenn already previewed this a little bit earlier. We're being joined by Nathan James. He's a high school English teacher currently. And Nathan will have to correct me on this as we kind of bring him up, but he's at a school where he's the entire 10th grade, in terms of English, right? He's responsible for the whole thing. So you can imagine what that can feel like in terms of collaboration. So it'll be interesting to get his take on some of that. But he's also a sports podcaster and writer. And one of the most interesting things that he's done in his classroom that I know about is he's done some RPG work, and he's actually created RPGs with a fellow teacher as well. So he's done all kinds of things. He's a teacher. He's an entrepreneur. He does a little bit of everything. We're really excited to have him on.
Hey, Nathan, what's the good word?
Hey guys, Nathan James is my fake Facebook name. So that it's to keep it off, keep it away from the students. Although, who knows how long that's going to last now.
Yeah.
We can cut stuff, man.
Yeah.
I really, I don't mind. I really like that this segment is called "What's the Good Word" because this is the first time I've heard that phrase without someone saying to hell with Georgia to me and throwing a stadium cup of bourbon at me or whatever. Yeah. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. I feel like there's this whole sports world that I know so little about, but that's okay. I do know a lot about some of the other things that you're connected with. Just having seen you at GCTE now, I think that's where the Man Crush started about 3 years ago. I wandered into one of your sessions that you and Peter were doing, and just to watch the evolution of what you were presenting. Which is still always very, very standards based, but is some of the most interactive, engaging, and dynamic stuff. It just blows my mind every time. I literally just come back to my school and vomit everywhere about how great it is. And so people are probably already sick of you, but that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're in a very good situation. I'm at Commerce, and like you said, I'm the only 9th grade teacher, and then I feed.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I feed all of my kids to one 10th grade teacher who is my best friend and work confidant and creative partner. So I think a lot of the good that we've been able to do is just situation based. Not that we couldn't have done good other places, but we really have been freed up at Commerce to really do. I mean, I never have a principal in my room other than to say hey, what do you want to do? Can we do anything else? And it's a utopia, man. It's like a fake school. It seems like sometimes.
So I've just been amazed at some of the things I've seen you put out on social media lately about your interactions with parents. And you've, like I said, you've just kind of continued to evolve into all these different spheres. And one of the things that's just really struck my own heart was some of the language that you've been using to support parents right now and just to reach out to them authentically. You've just worked really hard to kind of craft those emails and those messages. So what ways are you kind of connecting with parents during these times? How are you working with them?
Well, I'm lucky in the sense that I have always maintained a listserv with everybody. So I have a listserv for every one of my preps that has everybody on it, co-teachers, principals, parents, students, whatever. And so every week when school is normally operating, I send out an email on Friday that's hey, here's what we're going to do next week. And I have a schedule frame I send out every week. And then here's what all the homework is for the week. And then sometimes if I'm feeling real spicy, I'll attach digital copies of all of the assignments. But that's only when I'm people are saying they're missing their work a lot. So here's all of it. When I'm being sarcastic. So because I've already had that infrastructure, I feel the big thing that's helped me in this transition has been pre-existing infrastructure, right? Yeah. So I already have the infrastructure of everybody gets an email from me every week. We already do 4 assignments a week on Google Classroom. Like all of the online tools that we're using, we're just using the same thing. It's just we're not seeing each other in person. And so contact with parents, it's really just like I use Remind a little bit more. And so I'll copy my emails into a Google Drive or a Google Doc, and then I'll send out a link and be like, hey, I just sent this message out. If you don't want to check your email, here's the message. As for like tone and like the language, I think I have a hard time like kind of elucidating this, but like I think it's similar to when you say anything in the classroom. So like one of the things that I think a lot about teaching is that like we have this like paradigm in our heads of like when you teach, it's like you're doing moves, like it's like a fighting game, or like you're like, you know, you're pulling up tools. And I guess that is to some extent like that is what's happening. But I think so much what we do is about like diction and tone and like how that manifests in our real life. So whenever I'm doing, and what I've really tried to focus on with these messages to parents is like, I think that my getting diction correct is not something that you like learn. It's just something you do. And I think it comes from like you internally being in the right space before you start typing. So every time I send a message to my parents, I always am like, okay, what do I actually think about this crisis? Like I start with myself, like, okay, I think it sucks. And it's a lot of people are going to get hurt, but here's all the things that I've done to try to protect myself and my family. And here's the things I'm doing to try to protect my students. And so when I'm in the mode of like, I think we can get through this, I think that we can weather this, I think this is an opportunity for growth for all of us. Like when I believe that, that's when I start typing. And I find that as opposed to like really worrying about what my language is, if my head is just in the right place, the language will just be there and I don't have to worry about it. It just happens. And that might be a little bit flippant. Like, obviously I'm working on the language, but like, I think so much of like, we use this word authenticity, and like, what does that even mean? Right. And it's like, well, to me, the simplest thing is like, authenticity is when whatever's coming out of me matches what's inside of me. And if I'm not aware of where I am personally, the message coming out is always going to feel weird because it's like not something I would say. Right. And I think that we get in trouble when we transition to digital learning and we try to be like, oh, this is digital learning, Lawrence. It's like, no, like I'm a mean asshole as a teacher. And like, I've continued to be that pretty much the whole time. But I think the kids respond to that. Like they know it's like, oh, well, the world might be on fire, but Lawrence is still kind of a tool. Like that's been consistent at least. Right.
No, yeah. I think you're speaking to something that rings true. You know, as you were talking about this idea of just spending time, really kind of reflecting on what you mean to say, and then the words will kind of come once you've taken the time to really get yourself ready to do that. I think about the emails I've written and not sent, and then 24 hours later, I rewrote and sent.
Yeah.
That was the real reflection of what I wanted to say without being a disaster.
Yeah. No, and it's like, it's so hard to manage. I feel like all of us are so internal right now of like, what am I feeling? Where am I? And I think that's a really positive thing. But I also always want to keep in mind, like I feel that like I have an ethical duty to keep my kids in a good headspace, like just as much as I do to teach them. And that doesn't mean lying to them or saying like everything's okay, but it does mean saying like, look, this is unprecedented in all of our lives, but it's not unprecedented, historically. And here's, like the ways that the advantages we have over previous outbreaks and pandemics, and just like kind of keeping steady, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I think, like you were saying, like the way that I think manifest in your messaging steadiness is I am the person I was when you saw me in class. Like when I yanked you into the hallway and yelled at you about the way you were disrespecting other people, like I'll still do that. And there's like, I think there's something kind of like, right? Like to know like you are just you the whole time, right? And you never anything else. It's like, turns out, and I think that's really been helpful. And I think it's been helpful with parents because I think much guy.
Sorry, getting some slowdown. I might have to edit this part out. There we go. And we're back.
Did you go out for a second?
Yeah, but the part with parents, being helpful with parents.
Yeah. I mean, I think parents want just as much help as students do, right? And parents are in an unprecedented situation. Parents are scared. Parents don't know what's going on. And so to just bring them the message of like, not just here's what I need you to do with my kid, but I internally, this is not BS. I absolutely am confident that I can teach at the same level for your child as if I was in person. And look, that might not be true. And it's fine if it's not, right? But if I get in there and I like psych myself up like I'm a pro wrestler and I'm like, yeah, nobody messes with Lawrence. Like everybody in commerce sucks and everybody boos me. Like if I'm that amount of hype when I write an email, I know I'm going to get across this idea that like, I'm not changing my standards. I'm going to teach your kid. Like your kid is going to get the absolute best from me no matter what. And I think that is what people respond to, is when you've gotten yourself in the right space, right?
Yeah, no, I like what you're saying there about centering yourself and just really being aware of the like internal space that you're in. That what kind of concerns are you kind of hearing from parents, and how are you addressing those?
Well, I think parents, like, they don't know what to do. You know, they're like, what is my role here? So I've tried to establish like what my first email I sent out, I was like, here's how everything's going to work. Here's all the platforms we're going to use. It's never going to change. It's going to be the same the whole time. And then also here's what you can do for your kid every day. So like every day you get on your kid's Google Classroom under your login and you look at the thing I shared that says daily agenda. And then you ask the kid to show you that they've turned that thing in. And so just making sure that in the same way that I would never have a kid in my class, if a kid in my class doesn't know what they're doing and they're trying, like that's a failure on me. Yeah. Similarly, I think if a parent in my digital classroom doesn't know what they're doing, that's also a failure on me. So just giving the same sort of like organizational and infrastructure things that we would do for students, I think that we have to do for parents, right? So here's what you need to look at every day. Here's what your kids should expect every day. Here's what your kids need. Here's how to check if your kids have turned things in. Just giving them the same kind of list that you would give a kid. I mean, I think it's the same scaffolds, right? You just apply them to the organization of your classroom instead of to the actual content.
Yeah, no, this is amazing.
Yeah, the power in that. And so that may be the difference of, like, when I hear you talk about that, that's the benefit of all of the scaffolding you've already done and the infrastructure you've built.
Yeah.
But also being in that smaller environment. Again, I think about how things are scaled up in me and Glenn's world, again, just being in Gwinnett. And we've talked about this before, right? Like the whole idea of if a kid's got 7 teachers, there's a chance that all 7 of those teachers do something completely different in their expectations of how they communicate to parents.
So, yeah. And so I think that this is an opportunity for anybody who hasn't built that kind of infrastructure to build it, because we presented about our frame a couple of years ago. I don't know if y'all were at that one, but we basically, like, Peter and I have this thing where we give the same 3 quizzes a week on the same days every week, no matter what. The start of each class, the first 15 to 30 minutes of class is the same no matter what. So you come in, one day we're doing grammar, one day we're doing cultural literacy, one day we're doing poetry analysis. And then we have 3 quizzes for those on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I think, and it doesn't have to look like that, it doesn't matter, but I think that the most useful thing you can do for your digital classroom, and what I would tell people to do, because I know not everybody is like I'm like a machine. I try to be like the Nick Saban or Kirby Smart of teaching. Like, I want everything prepared. I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to out-resource everybody. I'm going to write all my lesson plans before school starts. And like, I get that not everybody is in that space, and I don't expect everyone to do that. But I think one thing you can do is, if you just say, every week we will do X, and you just do it no matter what on the same day, like, that will get you so far in digital education just to start, right? Because then your parents know, if nothing else, my kid has a quiz on Thursday and a quiz on Friday, and I feel good because I know I can tell my kid, hey, get your ass on the line and go do that quiz, right? And that I think just that amount of infrastructure is a really powerful thing in a time like this, because it gives everybody, like, we know that we do this, we can rely on this. And it's silly that something that small would seem so important, but I think in times like this, we're casting about for any kind of stability, right? And I want to give people that.
That's cool. No, I really appreciate just everything you've got to say about, largely you've spoken to exactly, how you've adapted a lot of your instruction to online. I can't get over how important, the infrastructure that you've built and the rituals and routines in your classroom that are just continuing to go on now, just on a digital platform. And like you said, the only thing that's different is you're just not meeting face to face, but you've built up those expectations with your students, with your parents, and you've just continued that. That's really cool.
It's good advice that you're giving there too, just about like, hey, if you haven't done this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about mindset earlier, and I always say this, but like, who am I talking to? Like the 3 other teachers at my school, like whatever. But if I were asked advice about this thing, what I would say to people is that I think so often we approach these organizational tasks or these like drudge work tasks with like this sense of like dread. Like, I don't want to do grading. I don't want to do grade entering. I'm overwhelmed by the idea of planning the rest of my semester. And what I would say for like the opportunity that we all have right now is to reset how we think about those things. Because like, I, through a lot of work, and I was not born this way, I used to be a very messy person, but I've gotten myself where in my head, if I don't do those organizational things, if I don't have everything planned out, then that's what stresses me out. Mm-hmm. And I think right now is like, we all need, personally, I feel like some kind of stability. Yeah. Right. And it's silly that it might make you feel better if you just plan the rest of your lessons for the rest of the year. But I would posit that it might make you feel better.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. To just sit down and grind that out, because then the way I kind of feel about my lesson plans is like, they're not always perfect and they might need changes in and out. But like, if I woke up in Commerce High School and I didn't know what day it was or what time it was, and I was wearing strange clothes and I had like a Singapore stamp in my passport, I could still get up there and do a lesson. Like, my worst case scenario, I know what to do, right? Well, this is the worst case scenario. Or best case, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm an hour and a half ahead in my classes for whatever reason, I know what to do next. And even if it's not good, I'm still just going to be like, all right, I printed the whole week. Here you go. Let's go to the next thing. And so I would encourage, like, just as like a self-care thing, just get ahead. Like, take the time right now to write it out.
Yep.
Because that's not going to do anything but help you.
Definitely.
Anyway, that was my unsolicited advice to anyone who watches this.
Well, yeah.
Hey, do you want me to talk about this Twitch thing?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that I'm doing is I'm doing all of my office hours on Twitch, which in terms of authenticity, I think is like, we have digital native students. Yeah. So it's kind of stupid that I don't have any problem with Google Classroom, but sometimes I feel like we invent all of these like educational technologies when it's like, let's just do what our kids are doing. So I started a Twitch stream, and it's kind of a complicated process, but I thought I would show a couple of things that I do.
This is great. I love it.
This is so cool.
Okay, so let's see. Recursive streams. Okay, so can you guys see my screen here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So when you get on Twitch, no, that's my email. All right, there's Twitch. So when you get on Twitch, it looks like this. It's a little overwhelming. And you kind of just are popped out into this place. You make an account, and everybody has what's called a channel on Twitch. By default, your channel isn't doing anything. So if I click over here on my guy and I click on channel, like, I'm not broadcasting anything. I was doing Chapel Bell Curve Live, so that's what I have it named right now. But the thing that's weird about Twitch is to make a Twitch stream, you don't do it on the website. You point another piece of software at Twitch. So this is the thing. This is the huge. This is like, I feel like the big, like, I'm a Gen Xer and I don't understand Twitch. This is like the big step up. So basically every Twitch account has what's called a stream key, which is just like a big long code of stuff, of like alphanumerical gibberish that tells Twitch and tells your client where to send your video. So if I click on settings in my Twitch stream and I click over on channel and video, I get this big primary stream key, and I can just copy that. Luckily, it's not showing you that because that would let anybody stream anything on my channel. So, so I would just need this piece of information. You can make a Twitch account for free. It makes a Steam key for you automatically. So you just go in there and get it. So the software I use is called Streamlab OBS. You see we have some really nice recursive.
Whoa, my mind just got blown. Okay.
So hold on. Let me see if I can point Streamlab at.
What am I even looking at?
Okay, so it's kind of hard to see because we have multiple level. They have like this infinite mirror thing. So hold on, let me see if I can.
Yeah, we do. Literally,
Let
is
me-
an infinite mirror.
Let me point. I have. The problem is part of this is an
Whoa.
audio.
You're
Part
opening
of
up
this
a.
is a video capture. So let me turn my video capture, my display capture off. Bloop. Okay. So here's how Streamlab works. It's pretty straightforward, but there's some like weird terms. I don't know how this got moved. Hey bud, come back over here. All right, there we go. So Streamlab is just a client that allows you to send video to a stream key. That's all. So like if I were to go through setup down here and like go to my little settings thing, and then I could go in here somewhere, there's like login. So like stream, and then you can see I've logged in to Twitch and Facebook. And in that process, it would ask for my stream key, and I'd copy that over, log in to Twitch and Facebook, whatever. I have multi-stream on, so I'm popping this all to my Facebook and my Twitch simultaneously. So the thing to understand about Streamlab is that you have sources and then you have scenes. And this is like pretty wacky, but so sources are like things on your screen, like your webcam, or like this little graphic doodad I have up here that says like office hours and it's a little animated, or like this is the chat box. It's not being used right now, but that's where chat would pop up. That's where like people followed you would pop out. So I can test these widgets up here. Like here's what happens if somebody subscribes, and like it'll pop up and it'll look like that. Or here's like, and then if someone like types on Twitch stream, it'll come up over here. So basically what I do is I've downloaded a scene that I liked. You can buy them. They're over here in this little themes thing. And then I just open it up, and I have all these different screens that I can have, like stream starting soon, stream ending soon, be right back, intermission, offline, live screen. And all I do to make them download, to make them display what I want, is in here I have all these sources where it's like, here's my webcam, here's my header, here's where chat box is. And I just kind of add them in, and then I just hit go live. And that's it. That's all there is. It's really not that complicated. And in fact,
you might have just summed up though for why we use Zoom instead of Twitch. Because for I think a lot of our teachers, this might be like, whoa, but you know what it's doing for me? I kind of want to try this.
Yeah. So okay, here's what I would think. I would say I think compared to Zoom, like obviously this doesn't do everything. It doesn't allow for back and forth. But what it does is, like, I don't know about y'all's experiences with Zoom meetings. Like, unless I like raise heaven and earth and like threaten to come to their house and cough on them, my kids are not getting on Zoom if they're not honors kids. Has been my experience, right? So I can get my worst possible kids to watch me Twitch stream.
Oh yeah, because it's Twitch, and that's
right.
like
Yeah,
said,
exactly.
that's
So
where the kids are.
And so like all I do is, so like I have like, you could do this without all this fanciness. Like you could just do like webcam capture and then game capture, and then like let's see. So like if I were to, I wish I could stream like both of my screens to you. Hold on. Boop. I think I can do that actually. Give me a second. I have a dual screen set up and it's kind of making this a little complicated. I'm sorry to humble brag here.
So like I could actually have class from Minecraft, for instance, and then stream it on
yes.
Twitch.
Yeah. So like if I switch screens, so this is my alternate screen I have over here. So like if I have this screen and I turn my game capture on, and then I pull up, for instance, Minecraft, boop, then you can see in a moment here, it'll pop up and point itself at Minecraft. And then I just start playing Minecraft, and I just say, hey, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, this is office hours, type them in the Twitch stream or in the Twitch chat, and I'll answer them live. And like just saying that, and then like dying a bunch in Minecraft, they really like that. There's been this whole joke, like they made me a little Minecraft dude that looks like my dude, and they sent it to me, and I put that in. And then but then there's this whole joke about like Mr. Lawrence loves stairs because I was making so many stairs. And I've died on this game like a dozen times, but every time I die, like I get more viewers. So I kind of like I really goof it up for them, you know, so you can see. And then like a lot of this is just me being like, hey, do you guys have questions? And so a lot of times it's like, hey, why do you suck at Minecraft? Totally fine. Roll with that.
You're interacting with them.
Yeah, exactly. And then
it's kids that wouldn't normally be there.
Right. And as soon as they start talking, I'm like, hey, for a reminder, you have a quiz due. Do you guys have any questions? And then I just go to the next thing. And I think I understand this is not for everybody, but I think if you have the wherewithal to sit down and figure it out, that it is incredibly powerful to reach your kids. You can see my little, they gave me like a dorky tan jacket. I don't even own one of those. Anyway, but I think that like, this is a great way to reach the kids who will not get on Zoom. Because most of those kids will get on Twitch. And sometimes I wait until I know that kid and it's like, oh, 42069 master, I know who that kid is. Like, hey, you haven't done your quiz. Get on Google Classroom right now and do your quiz. Oh, you don't know how to do Google Classroom? I'm going to switch to my screen share and put up the Google Classroom code and you're going to get on Google Classroom right now. So I just think if you have the sort of like time and energy to set something like this up, it's well worth your time.
Well, we've got a lot of time right now.
Yeah, energy might be the problem, but
Yeah. You're right about that. I don't know that I put my energy always in the right place. The way that I'd like to. But what's really, and I think what's important here too, like this is not like you're a new teacher or fresh out of the box. You're hipping with it because you're, fresh out of college. I mean, you've been teaching for a hot minute, man. So like the fact that you are willing to go where students are is, I mean, it's important.
Well, and I think too, like, I think kids think you lame. As soon as you think I'm going to go where kids are, kids think you're lame, right? Like, and not, I mean, they all think I'm lame. It's fine. But I think I always try to have my thinking be like, I'm going to go where kids are. I'm just going to like do a bunch of like random shit that I like and then see where that matches up. So like, yeah, if you don't like video games, this probably isn't for you. But if you already are playing like 16 hours of Animal Crossing New Horizons a day, then like, yeah, figure out how to stream it for your kids because they will definitely watch it, right?
I feel attacked. Yeah.
Well, we're actually going to use that as our outro, so I don't think we can really top that. I mean, to me, that was another really cool piece to bring it all together. Thank you again for joining us. That was amazing.
No, my pleasure, man. I'm glad I could help. Okay.
All right. Well, hey everyone, thank you for continuing to watch. We'll be back with more episodes later. Nathan, again, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
We'll catch you all out there in the digital spaces soon.
On Twitch.
Bye. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.